What if the Bible contains clues about a world that existed before Adam? A world with civilizations, beings, or even events that predate humanity as we know it. Today, I will share and explore with you some biblical verses and theories suggesting the possibility of pre-Adamic races, including the Jewish texts that clearly state that before God created this current universe, which he called good, there were many other worlds which existed but were ultimately destroyed. Let's dive in. Starting from the very creation of humans. In Genesis 1:26-28, God said, "Let us make mankind in our own image. Male and female, he created them." This passage clearly shows that both humans, the woman and man, were created simultaneously in the infinity world of God before Genesis 2, where the Garden of Eden was planted. And God blessed them and said, "Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth." And it was so. However, in Genesis 2:7, we find a more detailed account of Adam being formed from the dust, with animals created from the ground and brought to Adam to be named, specifically within the Garden of Eden. It is therefore important to note that while the humans in Genesis 1 were commanded to multiply and fill the earth, Adam himself was given a specific role in Genesis 2, to care for the Garden of Eden, and not to subdue the earth. This separation has made some to believe these describe two separate creations, a general creation of humanity in Genesis 1 and Adam's specific creation in Genesis 2. And since God had already created animals on the fifth and sixth day, before the animals that God made to come out of the ground in Genesis 2:19, this could also imply that the male and female that were created along with the animals in Genesis 1 were also part of the life that existed before Adam's formation. This is why Adam came into a world already occupied by animals, which already existed on earth before his fall from Eden. But there is yet another verse which showed a possibility of life on earth, aside from Adam's family. When God punished Cain to wander the earth in Genesis 4:13-17, after killing Abel his brother, Cain feared for his life, saying, "Whoever finds me will kill me." But who were these others, if only Adam's family existed? Cain's wife also remained a mystery, though some extra-biblical books like the Book of Jasher suggested that he actually married his sister. But suppose the Book of Jasher didn't suggest this, what were the origins of Cain's wife? These details have led to speculation that another group of humans, or a pre-Adamic race, was present at the time. Because the Bible said that Cain went to build a city, which is not normally a work of one man. But the book of Jeremiah even painted a more dark and scarier version of this story, even preceding Adam in relation to God's judgment of Israel. In Jeremiah 4:23-26, it said that, "I looked at the earth, and it was formless and empty, and at the heavens, and their light was gone. All its towns lay in ruins before the Lord." Many link this imagery to Genesis 1:2, where the earth was described as formless and void, which is a result of wickedness that Jeremiah related to the future of a sinful Israel. Some believe Jeremiah is referencing a judgment on a pre-Adamic civilization that existed before Adam's creation, just as in Isaiah 45:18, it's written, "God did not create the earth to be empty, but formed it to be inhabited." If God intended the earth to be inhabited, why does Genesis 1:2 describe it as formless and void. This brings a theory which others say is a gap theory, suggesting that between Genesis 1:1 and 1:2, an earlier creation may have been destroyed, leaving the earth in chaos before Adam's arrival. Ezekiel 28:12-17 speaks of the king of Tyre and Lucifer, but is often seen as an allegory for Satan. It said that, "You were in Eden, the garden of God. You were blameless in your ways from the day you were created until wickedness was found in you." The king of Tyre was also related to how Satan was involved in violence, pride, and trading, suggesting that he had a role of trading that he was involved in before his fall. Some believe Satan's fall could have led to a catastrophic event, destroying an earlier creation and paving the way for the Genesis story of Adam. And the devil was already identified as a cunning serpent during the days of Adam, showing he had already committed sin in eternity before being in the garden. This gap theory could represent a forgotten age, with civilizations or beings that existed before the creation of Adam. Was there a pre-Adamic world lost to history and divine judgment? While the Bible doesn't directly confirm pre-Adamic races, these verses open the door to fascinating possibilities. But the Jewish Talmud speaks of a more clearer image of the ancient worlds. Just to be on the same page of understanding, I will briefly explain what the Jewish Talmud is before I show you the verse which speaks of the destruction of the ancient worlds. The Talmud is a central text in Rabbinic Judaism, consisting of a compilation of teachings, discussions, and interpretations of the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible. It is divided into 2 main parts: the Mishnah, which is a written record of oral law, and the Gemara, which is a detailed commentary and analysis of the Mishnah. The Talmud contains laws, ethics, history, philosophy, and spiritual teachings, and is considered a primary source for understanding Jewish law and tradition. The Talmud discusses many theological and cosmological ideas, some of which delve into the nature of creation, the existence of other worlds, and the processes of divine judgment. Now turning to the idea of earlier worlds being created and destroyed, this concept is found in Chagiga 12a, which mentions God's repeated creation and destruction of worlds before the current one. Rab Judah said, in the name of Rav, 10 things were created on the first day, and they are as follows: heaven and earth, tohu and bohu, formlessness and void, light and darkness, wind and water, the length of day and the length of night. The Holy One, blessed be He, created worlds and destroyed them, until He created these current ones. And He said, "This pleases me, those did not please me." This passage reflects the Jewish mystical idea that God's creation is an ongoing process, with previous worlds that were not deemed perfect and were destroyed before the current one was established. What do you think? Could there have been a pre-Adamic world?